Welcome back to GanithNotes. Today, the topic for discussion is fractions. What exactly is fraction? Where do we use it? What are the different types of fractions? And so on. So, these are the contents that we are going to cover up in today's class. It would be the definition, what is fraction? What are the different types of fractions that are available in mathematics? And what are the arithmetic operations that are carried out on the fractions? And various other concepts which are related to fractions. I hope all of you have seen the videos that I have posted earlier related to various topics of mathematics. In case if you have not got a chance to go through it, please do go through it and let me know your feedback. Also, please subscribe the channel and just click on the bell button so that you get the videos very frequently. So, let's start today's discussion. What exactly is fraction? Fraction is actually the numbers of the form p by q, where p and q are integers. So, we have one value p and we have another value q. This top part p is actually called the numerator of the fraction, and the bottom part q is called the denominator of the fraction. And as we know, we cannot divide any number by 0. Hence, the value of q can never be 0. It is always a non-zero quantity. So this is the simple definition of fraction. So I'll just take you to a quiz. Let's see the figures that's given in this particular figure. The question is like this: do the shaded region correspond to the fractions displayed? So first one, we have a circle where the circle is divided into two parts, and a part of this particular circle is actually shaded in orange color. So the question is, does the shaded region of this particular figure 1 correspond to the fraction displayed? So it's given as 1 by 2, which is actually correct. And the next figure is nothing but there are 4 parts for a particular rectangle, out of which 3 parts are shaded. It is asking whether the shaded portion corresponds to 1/4 of this particular figure or not, which is incorrect. So the first one is correct and the second one is incorrect. So what exactly is fraction? If you have 4 parts with you, and if you are going to take one part out of that, then we denote it by 1 out of 4, which is nothing but 1 by 4. Similarly, if you have 2 parts in total with you, and then if you are going to take one part out of it, it will be denoted as 1 upon 2, which is nothing but you have 2 parts with you, you are going to take one, or you are going to consume one out of that 2, which is actually represented in the mathematical form of p by q, which is given as 1 divided by 2. So let's move on. What are the different types of fractions that are available? So all fractions, as we said earlier, are of the form p by q, where p is actually called the numerator and q is called the denominator, where q can never be a 0 value. So we have different categories in this particular fraction. So the first one is like fractions. What is like fraction? We might have fractions having the same denominator value, which is nothing but fractions having the same bottom part. For example, 2 by 5, 3 by 5, 4 by 5. All these fractions have the same denominators, 5, only the numerator changes. So this kind of fractions are actually called like fractions. The second one is unlike fractions. So as the name suggests, we know that these fractions will be having different denominators. So examples are 2 by 3, 3 by 5 and 4 by 1, where the numerators for each of these are 3, 5 and 1 respectively, which are not the same. So these are examples of unlike fractions. The third one is same numerator fractions. So as the name suggests, if the fractions which are in question have the same numerators, then they belong to the category of same numerator fractions. For example, we have 2 by 3, 2 by 5 and 2 by 7. The next one is unit fraction. So what are unit fractions? Unit means it is 1. So it is nothing but the fractions which have then 1 as their numerator are called unit fractions. So 1 by 3, 1 by 5 and 1 by 7 can be denoted as examples for unit fractions. Fifth one is common fractions. Fractions whose numerator and denominators are actually integers comes into the category of common fractions. So let's see some examples. 1 by 3, 1 by 5, 1 by 7 all are common fractions because 1 is the numerator in all these cases and 3, 5, 7 are the corresponding denominators for all of these fractions respectively. So these are integers. So this particular type of fractions comes into the category of common fractions. But 1 and 1 by 2 is not a common fraction because it's another kind of fraction which we will be discussing later, where we do not have an integer as a numerator and we do not have an integer as a denominator specifically, so it does not belong to common fractions. Sixth one is complex fractions. Fractions in which either the numerator or the denominator or both numerator and denominator contain a fraction. Those kind of fractions are actually denoted as complex fractions. So in the first one, it is 1 divided by 3 by 2, where the numerator is 1 and the denominator is 3 by 2. So 3 by 2 itself is a fraction which falls in the denominator. So that is why it becomes a complex fraction. Let's see the second example. It is 1 by 5 divided by 4. Here the numerator is 1 by 5. Which is actually a fraction, and 4 is also an integer which comes as a denominator. So this belongs to the category of complex fractions. The third example is 1 by 2 divided by 7 by 3, where both 1 by 2 and 7 by 3 are fractions, so they belong to complex fractions. The seventh one is proper fractions. What are proper fractions? The fractions in which the numerator is always smaller than a denominator comes into the category of proper fractions. So some of the examples are 1 by 3, 2 by 5, 4 by 9, where all of these numerators of the corresponding fraction are actually smaller than the denominator respectively. So they belong to proper fractions category. Eighth one is improper fractions. These are nothing but the opposite of proper fractions. These are fractions in which the numerator is always greater than the denominator. So for example, 4 by 3, where 4 is the numerator and 3 is the denominator. Numerator is greater than denominator. So 4 by 3 is an example of an improper fraction. So other examples would be 5 by 3, 8 by 5, 10 by 2, etc. Ninth fraction is mixed fraction, or these fractions are also called as compound fractions. These fractions are actually expressed as a combination of fraction and a whole number. So for example, 1 and 4 by 3. 1 is nothing but a whole number. 4 by 3 is a fraction. So this kind of fractions is actually called mixed fraction or compound fraction. 10th type of fraction is decimal fractions. The fractions in which the denominator can be represented in the form 10, 100, 1000, etc. comes into the category of decimal fraction, which means that the denominator is actually tens. 10, 100, 1000, 10,000, anything of that sort belongs to decimal fractions. For example, 4 by 10, 5 by 100, 8 by 1000 all belong to decimal fractions. The next category is equivalent fraction. What are equivalent fractions? When you see these fractions, you feel as if they are different, but they are not. They are actually equivalent in nature. So if you simplify those kind of fractions which you have with you, then you will get the same fraction. Those kind of fractions are actually called equivalent fractions. So both the numerator and the denominator, if they have a common value shared among them, if you cancel the common value among them, it is a simplification of that fraction, which gives you the original fraction. Those kind of fractions are actually called equivalent fractions. For example, 2 by 8. 2 is a common factor between the numerator and the denominator. So if you cancel 2 out of both numerator and denominator, you will get 1 by 4. 3 by 12. 3 is common for both 3 as well as 12. So if you cancel 3 from both the numerator and the denominator, you will get 1 by 4. Similar is the case for 4 by 16 and 5 by 20. So all these fractions are the equivalent fractions of 1 by 4. Next type of fraction is algebraic fraction. These are fractions in which the numerator and the denominator are algebraic expressions. For example, 3x divided by 2x minus 3. This is an algebraic fraction because 3x is an algebraic expression and 2x minus 3 is also an algebraic expression. So both numerator and denominator are algebraic expressions. So this fraction is an algebraic fraction. So let's go on to the next topic, which is operations on fractions. Mathematical operations are addition, subtraction, multiplication and division. So addition and subtraction of the two fractions is what we are going to cover in the first category. If you need to perform addition or subtraction on any two fractions, then obviously you need to have the denominators common for those fractions. For example, if you have 1 by 2 and 3 by 2 with you and you are supposed to add these two fractions, you have to see whether both the fractions that are required to be added have the same denominator or not. If they have a same denominator, then you can add up the numerators, which gives you the answer of that addition. So 1 by 2 plus 3 by 2, which is equal to 1 plus 3, that is sum of the numerators, divided by the common denominator, which is 2, which is equal to 4 divided by 2. So if you cancel 2 from both the numerator and the denominator, since 2 is common between them, we will get the answer as 2. In case if the fractions which are required to be added or subtracted have the different denominators, then you have to find a common denominator, and you also have to convert these fractions into equivalent fractions, by which you will get same denominator fractions. So those fractions can be added or subtracted. For example, if you have 3 by 4 and 1 by 2, the first fraction has the denominator 4 and the second fraction has the denominator 2. So you cannot add or subtract these two fractions since the denominators are not the same. So you have to find an equivalent fraction for this so that the denominators are the same. So let's see 4 and 2. So if you see the LCM of 4 and 2, then you will get 4 is the LCM. This concept of LCM we have already discussed earlier. If you have to brush up, then please visit my video of LCM to see more. So we will find out a particular equivalent fraction for 1 by 2, which is 2 by 4. So if you multiply 1 by 2 by 2 to both the numerator and the denominator, then you will get 2 by 4. Okay. So 3 by 4 plus 1 by 2 can actually be written as 3 by 4 plus 2 by 4, which is same. So you have same denominators now. So now you need to add up only the numerators, 3 plus 2, which is equal to 5. So the answer for this question will be 5 divided by 4. The next operation is multiplication. So in order to multiply any two fractions, just multiply the numerators and the denominators separately, which will give you the answer for multiplication of two fractions. For example, if you have multiply 1 by 2 and 3 by 2, then multiply 1 and 3, which are the numerators, divided by 2 and 2. So 1 into 3 divided by 2 into 2, which is equal to 3 by 4. Another example is 3 by 2 multiplied by 5 by 4. So we have to multiply the numerator separately and you have to multiply the denominator separately. So 3 into 5 divided by 2 into 4, which is equal to 15 divided by 8. The next operation is division of two fractions. So in order to divide fraction 1 by fraction 2, what you have to do is you have to find out the reciprocal of fraction 2 and multiply it by fraction 1. Let's go through a couple of examples, then you will understand more about this. Let's say that you need to divide 1 by 2 divided by 3 by 2. So as per the rule of division of fractions, you have to find out the reciprocal of 3 by 2. Reciprocal of 3 by 2 is nothing but 1 divided by 3 by 2, which is equal to 2 by 3, or you just have to swap it, the numerator and the denominator. So 1 by 2 will be multiplied by the reciprocal of 3 by 2, which is equal to 2 by 3. So which is equal to 1 into 2, which is the multiplication of the numerators divided by multiplication of the denominators 2 into 3. So if you cancel out 2, which is common between this and this, you will get the answer as 1 by 3, which is a simplified form for this particular question. Let's go to another example. If you want to divide 3 by 4 by 5 by 6, first you need to find out the reciprocal of 5 by 6, which is 6 by 5. Then you need to multiply it to 3 by 4. So it will be 3 by 4 into 6 by 5, which is equal to 3 into 6 divided by 4 into 5 by using the rule of multiplication of fractions, which is equal to 18 divided by 20. Since you have 2 as a common factor between 18 and 20, you can cancel it. Then you will get the simplified form as 9 by 10. So if the fractions are negative fractions, then the same rule applies for those negative fractions as well. So we'll just go through a couple of examples quickly to see how it happens. For example, if I have to add 1 by 2 with a negative fraction minus 3 by 2. Here negative 3 by 2 is actually a negative fraction. So what you have to do is, first you have to see whether the denominators are same. In this case denominators are same. So you just have to sum up 1 and minus 3 in this case, which is written as 1 plus minus 3 the whole divided by 2. 1 plus minus 3 is calculated as minus 2 divided by 2. When you cancel this, you will get minus 1. Next example is addition of two fractions which are negative, both negative. So minus 1 by 2 plus minus 3 by 2 is equal to, both have the same denominators. So you just have to add up the numerators. So minus 1 plus minus 3 the whole divided by 2, which is equal to minus 4 divided by 2, which is equal to minus 2. So I have just simplified all these fractions by cancelling out the common values between numerators and denominators. If you write like this also, it's same, but I just simplified to make it easier. Let's multiply 3 by 2 by a negative fraction minus 2 by 3. So by the rule of multiplication, what you would have to do is, you will have to multiply the numerators separately and then multiply the denominators separately. So 3 multiplied by minus 2 divided by 2 multiplied by 3, which is equal to minus 6 by 6, which is equal to minus 1. Hope this is clear for everyone. Similar would be the case for division, subtraction, everything. Please carry out few examples of your choice, and in case if you are stuck up anywhere, please do let me know by using the comment section. I will definitely check and reply. Let's go to the next concept. This is the concept of fraction circles. So what are fraction circles? These are nothing but a set of 9 circles of various colors, as you see in this particular figure. Each of the circle is actually broken down into equal fractional parts and uses the same sized whole circle. So what are the circles that we include over here? First circle would be the whole circle, that is 1. Next one is circles which are divided into the mentioned ones: halves, thirds, quarters, fifths, sixths, eighths, tenths and twelfths. So these are represented in diagrammatical way here as shown. So this is 1, the whole circle. When you divide it by 2, you have 1 by 2 and 1 by 2. If you divide it into 3 equal parts, you have 1 by 3, 1 by 3 and 1 by 3. If you divide it into 4 equal parts, you have 1 by 4 each. If you divide it into 5 equal parts, you have 1 by 5 each. If you divide it into 6 equal parts, you have 1 by 6 each. If you divide it into 8 equal parts, then you have 1 by 8 each. And if you divide it into 10 equal parts, you have 1 by 10 each. And if you divide it into 12 equal parts, you have 1 by 12 each. This is the concept of fraction circles. Next concept would be the pi fraction. What is pi? Pi is actually calculated as the fraction 22 by 7, or it can be represented as 3.14159 etc. It is actually an irrational number, so the decimal value continues. So I have just taken 5 digits after the decimal point. So this pi fraction is actually represented as this figure that is shown over here. Next concept would be partial fractions. What is partial fraction? Assume you are given a particular fraction, and if you can decompose it as a sum of simpler fractions, then those are called partial fraction. Let's go to one example to understand better. Let's express 5x minus 4 divided by x minus 2 into x plus 1 as sum of smaller fractions. So this is actually written as a divided by x minus 2 plus b divided by x plus 1. So we have to find the value of a and b so that both the left hand side and the right hand side matches. So 5x minus 4 divided by x minus 2 into x plus 1 is actually a complex fraction which is which is actually separated as a sum of simpler fractions. Now we are going to find out the value of a and b. So when you multiply this right side, you will get a into x plus 1 plus b into x minus 2, which is equal to 5x minus 4. Since both the denominators in the LHS and the RHS are the same, we just cancel off. So we just take the numerator part in this case. So we are going to find out the value of a. So when x is equal to 2, we have to substitute in this particular equation 5x minus 4 is equal to a into x plus 1 plus b into x minus 2. When you put x is equal to 2 in this equation, we will get the value of a as 2, and when we put the value of x is equal to minus 1, we will get the value of b as 3. So we can just substitute the value of a and b in the initial expression to make it as a partial fraction. So we get 5x minus 4 divided by x minus 2 into x plus 1 is equal to 2 divided by x minus 2 plus 3 divided by x plus 1. So this is an example of partial fraction. Next concept would be how to convert fraction to a percentage value. So you are given with a fraction value and you are required to convert that particular fraction to express it as a percentage value. So what would we do? I have just explained it stepwise. So step 1 is you have to use the normal division operation to convert that fraction into a decimal. And step 2 would be you just have to multiply the value that you have got in step 1 by 100 to make it into a percentage value. So for example, assume that you are given the fraction 1 by 4. You have to tell what is the percentage of 1 by 4. So 1 by 4 is written as 1 divided by 4. 1 by 4 is actually 1 divided by 4. So by using the normal division process, you will get 0.25. Either you can divide it manually or you can use a calculator to find out 1 divided by 4 is actually 0.25. So 0.25, how can you express it as a percentage value? 0.25 you just multiply it by 100, that gives you the percentage value. So 0.25 into 100 will be 25, which is 25%. Next concept is how to convert a fraction into decimal. So we are given with a fraction and you have to convert that fraction into a decimal value. So method 1 is you have to divide that particular numerator of the fraction by denominator, which gives a decimal value. So it's actually with a decimal point, which is a decimal value. So for example, 5 divided by 8 is a fraction that's given to me. I have to express it in a decimal format. So 5 divided by 8 can actually be written as 5 divided by 8 in the normal division process, which will give you 0.625 either by manual division or you can use a calculator. So 0.625 is in a decimal format. If you want to write it by representing it having 10, 100, 1000, something of that sort in the denominator, then it can be represented as 625 divided by 1000, which is in the decimal format. Method 2 is you have to find a number by which you can multiply both the bottom of the fraction to make it 100, 10, 1000, etc. Then you have to multiply the numerator and the denominator of that particular fraction by the same value. So you will get another equivalent fraction. Then you have to just remove the tens and write it in the decimal format. For example, if you are given the fraction 3 by 4, what multiplied by 4 gives you 100? When you multiply 4 by 25, you get it as 100. So in order to change this 3 by 4 in terms of 100, you have to multiply both the numerator and denominator by 25. So 3 into 25 is 75, 4 into 25 is 100. So 75 by 100 can be represented as 0.75 in the decimal format. So next topic is dividing fractions with exponents. So here you will have to use the formula that we have already learned earlier. X raised to m divided by x raised to n, which is equal to x raised to m minus n. So by using this particular formula that we already know, you can just divide the fractions which are given with exponents. Okay. Hope all of you are clear with this. If you have any questions or doubts, please feel free to use the comment section. I'll definitely check and reply back. Thank you.